Welcome to another Minneapolis by Night. This is a crossover plot session involving the mages and the shifters of the area. Specifically, Angrim, a kinfolk verbena mage, has recently pretty much walked up to the edge of the cairn.
And you are greeted by a Native American woman named that's Heart Like Ice, the warder of the Sept.
All right. Well, Angrim's kind of hovered around the edge of the sept before, but he's never actually approached it. He does have some ties to the Get, but this is the first time he's kind of treading on their territory a little bit. So he'll politely introduce himself. Greetings, I'm Angrim Jarlson, kin of the Get, and I here seeking either the elders or a representative who can speak for them on behalf of the Council of Magi.
Oh, well, it's nice to meet you. I do believe that the elders are currently dealing with some other issues, but I'm able to talk right now, or are you looking for someone of your tribe to talk to, of your kin to talk to?
Well, I guess it could be my kin. It doesn't have to be. It's whoever can speak with some authority. I have been given the authority of the council. Alternatively, the council will meet with anyone if the elders would prefer. But given the recent growth in numbers on both sides, we thought it best to formalize some of the agreements that we've had in the past, albeit unspoken.
Very well. Unfortunately, our Sept Alpha is occupied, and our Rights Master is the next highest in rank. That being, and he is on a quest. That being said, that leaves myself and one other person of rank enough to speak with.
Well, would it be prudent to speak with both of you at once, or is speaking with you going to be sufficient? I don't know all the maybe not politics, but the hierarchy of your establishment here, and I don't want to have any miscommunication result in conflict later.
The Sept is predominantly of my tribe. I think Taste the Bitter Truth would prefer me to handle it.
Excellent.
If he can't.
Well, I do come with some tidings from Hugo Schoenberg that the vineyard has seen quite a bit of an influx of new faces. Your kind, mine, as well as the leeches of the area.
There are quite a few new faces, I must agree.
He did also ask me to notify you that there was we believe to be a mage. He hasn't openly announced himself. As far as we know, not affiliated with any of our traditions, our equivalent of tribes, but our traditions. And he was reported to be impersonating staff of the vineyard. We're concerned that he perhaps is poking around there, which, as I'm sure you're aware, none of us really want.
No.
Best to let sleeping things sleep. So whatever the case may be, if he does approach you, we wanted to make it aware that he's already perhaps overstepped some bounds and has not made any efforts to announce himself, nor is he affiliated with us as an establishment.
If you've been hearing these rumors, do these rumors tell you a name?
Well, I don't know that he's given a honest name, given he was impersonating someone, although he has been kind of reported around to be in his true shape and a Asian individual, um, claiming to be of the descendancy of the dragons and the emperors of China. And
Okay.
so
We'll keep an eye out for that, most certainly.
I imagine he will be, if he reveals himself openly, I'm sure he'll be quite flamboyant given the background he's rumored to come from. So
Very well.
they make an effort to live up to the namesake of dragons. But furthermore, we wanted to discuss, should interactions extend beyond the vineyard, how we should proceed. We know that obviously not all shifters are going to see eye to eye with those who follow the paths, our path. Certainly,
Correct.
there are some who may have, and vice versa. There may be some among us
Who may
awaken.
not like us.
Ooh. Correct. And so we want to establish some ground rules so that word can be put out that if these are crossed, there will be retribution. I assume, provided it stays civil, we have no issues.
Correct.
Should it turn into conflict, how do you wish it handled?
Well, I think we need to.
Obviously,
it all depends on the offense.
Well, we would prefer that mages not get wantonly ripped to shreds, but
Well,
if they're perhaps in
I
the
can
area
guarantee
trying
you that we
to,
generally don't tear people to shreds unless they are genuinely deserving of it.
again, I was raised among the Get. I have a little bit of a skewed view. They're a little more of the rip people to shreds thing.
I am well aware.
So
I've run with my share of your kin. She doesn't look too enthusiastic about it, but she's not taking it out on you.
Again, if they show up here and they're trying to bleed off the cairn, then by all means, at that point, a little more aggressive action can be taken. Our thought was, should the mage be witnessed to be abusing spirits, misusing, or really using at all, because they don't have the authority to, but accessing the power of a cairn without authority, or they initiate violence towards the shifter, then you, of course, are free to exact whatever punishment appropriate to end the offense.
Well,
so should it be a lesser offense, such as a social offense, then it should be brought probably through me, since I have the best understanding, although limited, but the best understanding of both sides. It can be brought to me, and I can bring it before the council for a more formal punishment on our side.
Those terms on that aspect seem fair.
So again, having seen both sides, I certainly don't want to see the spirits or your homes misused.
And that is one thing.
Granted, a verbal warning might be polite, but we're not requiring it.
Sometimes words don't work.
Well, that's why I say polite but not required. So, some of the awakened are new to the area and maybe aren't familiar with dealing with your kind, or familiar with how your kind views spirits. You must remember, some of the awakened who have interacted with spirits, it has been strictly a traditional summoning, ask 3 questions, release type engagement.
Okay.
So they have not had they may not understand all the etiquette in dealing with a spirit that we understand. So again, gauge the level of offense.
Gauge the situation and the offense. Yes.
But if
it's my job as well as our elders here.
If it's a flagrant abuse or misuse of a spirit, then we'll trust your discretion. Hugo has vouched that your elders here are reasonable and
Generally speaking,
well,
yes, we are.
again, if
Again,
someone is tormenting your ancestor spirits, then by all means have them join them. But if they're that'll have to be a case by case. But as long as I can make it aware that in those circumstances, the shifters have the authority to judge. So if we're agreed on that, I'll make sure the council announces that.
Yes, and I would expect you guys to assess the same terms that we would for your people.
Our bigger concerns, obviously, most of our kind don't know enough about spirits. But we are looking more at if a shifter is abusing mortals. Although many mortals are sleepers, we still view them as kin to us who just haven't awakened to the truth of reality. So if they're being misused, mistreated, or abused, then we may be some of us may feel obligated to stand on their behalf.
If they are being mistreated, used, and abused, and it's one of ours, they will regret it.
Well,
that's not our intent, is to cause harm to mortals in the human world. Now, our counterpart, the Black Spiral Dancers, they might take joy in that. We generally don't.
Well, we may have to have one of yours perhaps educate us a bit more on what signs we can look for to identify whether they are one of these spiral dancers, as you call it. So, if there is a way.
They look like anybody else.
Well, we have
when they're
like you. We have senses beyond that of a mortal shell.
But
so, if there may be signs that we can understand better if we are shown examples. So, should you come across any of these and take them captive?
Funny you mentioned that, sir. Funny you mentioned that.
And then, of course, our last request is that, and this is something that comes from the council, I personally don't foresee this, but they wanted to at least have it formalized, that you don't work with any of the technocratic establishments that seek to industrialize the area. I don't foresee this being a concern, but if we verbalize it, then at least we have some recourse. The technocrats may look to you as
roll something for her to see if she can even. She might not know all that much about mages, but.
Well, and he was going to explain a bit more too.
Okay, well then I'm not going to have her roll it if you're going to explain it.
The technocrats typically operate through mortal society as high technology establishments, whether it be a medical business or a power company.
Weaver stuff.
Well, that would they do tend to attract Weaver spirits. However, from our standpoint, what they do is directly in contradiction to how we operate. And specifically, they want to eliminate us because they feel that we oppose the reality they want to enforce on all of humanity. Realistically, most of your kind probably won't deal with them anyway because, let's face it, werewolves don't exactly fit with the commonly accepted reality either. So,
No.
but again, this comes from the council. They ask that we formalize that you will not have any business dealings with the technocratic establishments of the area, that if you're going to enter into a dealing that you suspect could be technocratic, you ask us to verify. Obviously not I'm not saying every company out there is a corrupt puppet of the technocrats either. There are certainly some that are, we have even among our traditions, some that have more technocratic inclinations, but they are still traditionalists, and therefore we don't have any objection. So that would be the formal request, that you don't work with them, and if you suspect it's a possibility, that you ask us to verify the integrity of the other party before you do so.
Very well, very well. I don't think many of us here will be dealing with those people. I can't say much about some of our city counterparts, but I know that's not our thing here. And
I do need to get word to them, but we may send a more appropriate representative. He kind of gestures to himself, and he's dressed pretty much as you see there. He kind of gestures to himself. He says, I'm not really thematically in tune with them either. So.
Now, you were asking about being able to tell signs of a black spiral dancer.
It would be beneficial.
Well, I so happen to have one in custody, waiting to go on trial.
That could make things significantly easier.
Yes. Now, I don't really feel like taking him anywhere as a display, as it were.
Well, I have.
However, I'll be more than happy to take you to him here.
I will warn you, there may be some odd occurrences around me, but
Odd occurrences? Care to elaborate? Maybe prepare a girl a little?
Well, the stereotypical double voice effect of Hollywood is a mortal misunderstanding of what really happens when mages speak through one another. When you get me there, I will look, but I will also contact at least one of the masters who will look through me, so that he may be able to have a deeper understanding. The council can work collectively to understand things that perhaps otherwise go unseen.
Right.
So if you see funny eye colors or hear weird voices, I just thought it best to give you a notice.
I will make a note of that. All right. Well, if you want to see this guy, so you guys know what you're looking for.
Yeah, he gestures to his because he actually has a couple of what you can recognize as wolves, but obviously most people take them as like a wolf dog breed. But he gestures and he says, would you like my companions to remain here, or may they join us?
They can join us. They're welcome here.
He doesn't really even seem to make a gesture at all or whatnot, but they immediately kind of get up and start following.
Right. And she basically leads him down a path to a it's a smaller building, and she digs around in her pocket, pulls out a key, unlocks the door, and in this smaller building, there's actually stairs that go down to basement, and she leads you down to basement. And oh yes, bound in silver is he looks like he's a malnourished man, stringy hair,
Okay.
and they don't all look like this.
I'm
And
concerned with looking at more than physical appearances.
the spiritual end.
As well as a,
War form.
well, what a layfolk might refer to as an aura, but the makeup, if you will, of an individual. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, out of character, if mages can see auras, I'm guessing it works in the same aspect as the vampire as far as the color schemes go.
Similar, but they can also see resonances. So, because he has prime sight, so
Right.
he could actually see, like, I assume, what basically a worm taint, which would.
Yep. He's still bright, vibrant colors because he's a shifter.
Right.
But I don't really want to say they're faded because that's more of a ghoul or a vampire.
I think of it as almost more of like a sickly.
Sicker shades of these bright.
Right.
Maybe
they're warped or like that kind of oily look.
Yep.
So, and with Prime, he can actually see a little more fundamental than that. He can, and Prime sight is beyond just colors. It's pretty serious shit.
Right, and that's what he would see on this guy.
All right, and then it's fairly noticeable when the council starts looking through him because his eyes kind of open a bit more, and they seem to flicker around quite a bit.
Okay.
And he's not speaking. He's not truly speaking, but almost under his breath to himself. It sounds like he's holding a conversation between 9 different people.
Oh my god. Yep.
So,
he warned me.
And then one of the voices kind of speaks up and says, "Enough. We've seen what we needed to see." And he kind of slumps forward a little bit. He's kind of rubbing his forehead a little bit. Shakes his head and he says, "Well, I realize that may have been unsettling, so I appreciate your patience.
I've seen some weird shit in my day, all right? That's pretty mild.
One of our
so you've gotten to see your spiritual makeup and this makeup. Do you want to see? Because some of them are really weird. You would know them. You'd know what they look like, I'm certain. They're usually sickly looking and almost greenish tinted. She looks at him and he's just kind of snarling at her.
Well, I certainly can. One of the masters did have a concern from touching this creature's mind. He noticed that its mind appears quite broken as well. So
yes.
As long as you can,
it's part of their.
Aren't concerned about a threat.
This is why they're a threat. He's not the only one. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure if you look at all their heads, it looks that way. They're made to be broken.
I see.
They break each other.
He looks like he kind of wants to step closer, and then he looks at you and kind of questioningly to make sure that's okay before he does so.
She lets you go ahead, but she is going to shift to Krynos as a warning to the dancer. Not to. But she's not going to stop you.
Okay. Let me just. I lost my fucking notes again. This is the problem with having 3 devices going at once during this. Let me just find where the hell my notes went for this particular effect that he's going to attempt to enact.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first you can tell he's focusing quite intently, and he's not quite touching this creature that's bound, but he's kind of running his hands around it. And then he kind of recoils a bit, and he looks at you and he says, this isn't just broken, this has been twisted. And not just the mind, the spirit and the body too.
She nods.
He looks at it, and then he looks at you. Is this a out of character? Is this a Metis BSD or?
No, he's
okay.
Ahmed. And that's why she had asked if that's
right.
why she was asking a bit about shifting, because she could easily get him to shift.
He leans in, obviously being careful to avoid getting attacked, but he starts to make he pulls out a small dagger and kind of making sure that she doesn't go ballistic on him. He leans in and he's doesn't appear to be trying to necessarily hurt this bound individual, but he is breaking skin.
She doesn't care what you do to him.
The temples, the neck, basically. I don't know how much she would know, but it's kind of like basically like the traditional like chakra points.
Okay.
Whether she would recognize that or not, I don't. That's.
She's an orange. She probably wouldn't.
So, but he then he reaches into one of the pouches at his hip, and he pulls it out, and you can see it's got like a paste on it almost, and he's kind of murmuring and chanting and humming under his breath, but he rubs it on the wounds, and unfortunately now I need to roll some dice, and yay, we have Dice Stream today. That's fantastic news.
Josh apparently needs you.
What's that?
I just looked in group chat, and Josh says, he's like, let's see, we got a John. I told him that I had you right now, and he's like, tell him I have great need for him. I don't know what he wants from you.
I don't know. I have apparently a bunch of people that need me.
Right? That's okay. Oh, that's okay. Ian and Will are bugging me too.
Yeah, and Evan says he noticed me.
Yep.
Whether he noticed me, my message, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, he saw it. So, but anyway,
she's watching intently, but she's keeping an eye on the dancer as well.
Let's see. He has. Find my notes because I didn't build a full character sheet, but I at least have a rough idea what he's
Okay.
trying for, what he wants to accomplish. And he will make that go away. Holy fuck. Well, he had 3 successes, and you notice that this individual starts to calm down, and his eyes seem to clear up a bit. He kind of focuses a little bit more, and really he seems more rational, which is actually what Angrim did. He healed his mind. So he looks at you. He says, "I'm sorry, but the spirit is beyond my capability to heal at this time. But I think I was able to set his mind in order, that perhaps will be more attainable."
Easier to deal with and speak to.
It is possible that the spirit itself could be healed by someone more skilled than I.
Well, that is a lovely, interesting thing there. There's a way to do it.
Well,
But
as I say, if your methods,
a lake of silver
well,
and time.
if your methods are not an option, I suggest you speak either to Hugo directly or perhaps to, I believe the Shadow Lords have contact with the Dream Speaker Enigma. He may be able to help as well.
Well, we're not sure that this one's even gonna get lucky enough to leave.
Well,
he's committed some pretty nasty crimes against this Karen.
I'd be curious to see what recalling those crimes, what effect that has on a man who's now of sound mind. But I do have enough, certainly more than enough information for the council to be able to accurately assess, and that's something that we will begin educating the rest of the traditionalists of the area in.
Very well. Good.
We wouldn't want any mistakes, but at the same time, if they are your enemy, we don't want them. We don't need them wandering around either.
No, and we certainly don't want them making us look bad.
And if this one is any indication, they could be trouble for all of us.
They can get much, much, much worse.
He gives you.
You can roll your perception empathy, I guess, if you want. When she says that.
Empathy, he's actually good at. Primarily because it's a great way of communicating non-verbally.
Yep. She's very blatantly saying this, not just because it's the worm, it's out of experience.
Okay.
She knows just how nasty they can be. Let me put it this way. It's not just them in their war form with their gnashing teeth and claws that you need to worry about. They are master manipulators.
I see.
Not to be trusted. They have gifts that can mask their taint. And they can look and act as one of us.
There's a number of indicators we can look for that perhaps lie beyond what your senses can notice. Not to disparage you, but we have among the 9 of us 9 different ways to view reality beyond the mundane. So the masters have noticed at least 4 distinctive characteristics. They feel that should they see at least 2 of those characteristics in combination, they can make a safe assessment that one would be a threat.
Correct.
They see essentially a corruption of the spirit, a broken mind, a sort of a warped shifter to it, as well as swirls of twisting chaos. So,
Yes. Well,
if there is anything else specific we should know, I can certainly be reached.
She'll shift back down to Hamid once you're like not near the guru, near the BXB, by the way.
He closed everything up, and you can see actually the wounds that are stabbed over that he created. Whatever that poultice was he put on has helped them to close up good. So he
very well.
He says, I do keep a private sanctum outside the city where I normally reside. I assume he'll have no trouble getting there, although many kinfolk may, as there is a significant pack of wolves that live with me.
Intriguing.
So,
are they your tribe's kin too?
Well, not that I'm aware of. I believe many of them are just, as far as I know, the majority of them, if not all, are simply wolves, but the wolves have been abused and depleted by the mortals in the past, so I am helping them to reestablish themselves.
Yes. And poachers. She glares at the black spiral dancer.
That being said, if there are any, I believe you refer to them as lupus, that wish to that do seek a wolf mate.
Got it.
My pack is always looking as well.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. The moment you said that, the dog jumped up and shoved her nose in my mouth.
Well, there's your lupus.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, he thanks you and starts to head back towards where he entered from.
She'll lead you out.
Yeah.
There's a talon on Sep, that's why.
He says, well,
safe than
I don't know if you use the mortal, the Hamid devices, but he hands you what you can tell are a series of coordinates, and he says, a GPS can locate my cave here.
Gotcha.
Alternatively, if you follow and he kind of names off a branch of basically a larger creek that runs into the river. He says it's past the second rapids, just east of the falls. So.
Yep. Well, actually, at that too, when you're saying that, there's another way, and she kind of does something it's not really that creepy, I guess, considering she's a guru. She kind of leans over and gives him a good sniff. Yeah. Or I can follow that.
He chuckles and he says, well, sometimes.
Well, now I know what you smell like if I need to find you. By that those means.
He turns. Let me check my notes here. And see if he succeeds fully. God damn it, too many.
Right.
You thought the W20 was huge. This fucking book is a monster. An unbelievable, ungodly monster. Well, he does, but just barely. He actually turns into a wolf like the other ones that are with him, and runs off.
Magic. Okay. And she'll return to her duties as warder, protecting and watching the bond, whipping her guardians into shape.
He does give a small howl as he leaves, kind of honoring your
Hospitality.
hospitality, for lack of a better word.
Okay. Rock on. All right.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think there is anything further.
Okay, neither do I.
Thank you for watching. This has been another Minneapolis by Night. This was a crossover venue with the Shifters and Mages, and I'm sure we'll have many more to follow.